Okay, in health, we're going to abolish prescription charges, we're going to bring in free eye tests, and we're going to provide free dental treatment. And we're also going to make our society more equal. The whole equality agenda is crucial, is underpins what the Green Party is saying. We've actually, there's a book which I've got a copy of, which has actually provided a load of data which confirms what we kind of already know, which is that more equal societies function better. And that in more equal societies, everybody, not just the poor, have a higher sense of well-being and do better. Those societies work better, and on all the measurements that are important, health, life expectancy, child mortality rate, mental health, trust, on all of those indicators, the more equal society, the higher they score. And it's probably no surprise, at the bottom of the league, the society that scores the least well in relation to all of those things, you probably know already that it's the United States. I suspect you had that hunch, and you probably share with me the bewilderment that British social policy and an awful lot of British policy initiatives come from the United States when they talk about plans to do this and this with childcare or criminal punishments and all the rest of it. They look to the United States, and you think, we all know that that's actually a failed society in terms of those outcomes, and that the most equal societies do much better. And what's sad is that Britain, in the last 20 or 30 years, has become one of the most unequal societies. So basically, we also score very, very badly in relation to all of those things. So simply, in terms of health, simply, as we say in our manifesto, simply making our society more equal will improve our health without spending a penny extra on the NHS. Life expectancy, low birth weight, and self-rated health are worse in more unequal societies. Mental illness is much more common in more unequal societies, as is obesity and drug addiction. A quote again. Better health is not a matter of ever increasing spending on the NHS. A surer route, which can be disputed by the need to which can't be disrupted by the need to bail out bankers, is to support simple things like good food, less competition, and less stress. And in housing, the first leaflet that we produced in our campaign was about housing and the housing crisis that exists in High Peak and across the country. The Green Party believes that secure housing is a basic right, on a par with health and education. It shouldn't be left to the market. We have a commitment to spend £4 billion a year to expand social housing, mainly through conversion and renovation of existing units rather than building. We'll build if we need to. We'll build on the basis of proper democratic plans drawn up for the benefit of local residents and not in the interests of the building industry, but we will build if necessary. But we think that most of the housing crisis can be solved by spending money on converting and renovating existing property. There are 1 million empty homes in Britain. And we also believe that there should be free home insulation. Well, we reckon about £4 million, 4 million homes a year we involved in a programme. Both of those things, each of those things, renovating and converting and building new homes and insulating all homes, we reckon each of those will generate as well about 80,000 jobs. Okay, so those are our commitments. And to finish, in terms of what we intend to do, and I quote again, in sum, we will create a fair and sustainable economy through redistributing income and assets, reclaiming the tools of economic management, and freeing the diverse talents of our citizens. Right, so how are we going to pay for it? Well, it's quite technical, but it's all costed, and the Green Party have actually put their minds to this, and it's all spelled out here. I'm not going to read out 10 pages, but or 4 pages, but I have actually got, I think, just about enough for everybody to have. So take one of these away and see that basically what we're proposing here is not utopian nonsense, it's not pie in the sky, it's costed proposals which are set out here. How are we going to pay for it? It essentially involves reducing some expenditure, particularly on defence, but one or two other things as well, but particularly on defence, and increasing taxes on the wealthy. That's our twin strategy. Okay? Thanks. We'll just give you one of those.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask you both of them.
Ask away.
Okay, can I start with one for you? You mentioned education, you mentioned improving class sizes, reducing class sizes and so on. I have permission from the governing body of the school where I'm the chair to ask a question. I had a permission to ask this question at the hustings the other night, but I didn't get a chance to ask it. But it may or may not be common knowledge that there are schools in Glossop where the buildings are in disrepair, money is not forthcoming to deal with the problem, and at the same time as the improvements are not available for the buildings, schools are being asked to admit beyond their legal pupil admission number, or beyond the agreed pupil admission number, which means that because of the building problem, there will be more than the legal number of children in a given class. I'm really interested to know how you would envisage overcoming problems like this, which exist now.
Okay, well, can I just say first of all, I was involved when I had children of primary school age. There was a campaign in Glossop about that very thing, and I thought it had been resolved. I think things did get better for a while, but clearly it hasn't been resolved. Can I just ask, is it entirely to do with the fact that there's not enough school places in Glossop, or is it actually about competition of schools? Are there schools that have got surplus places and other schools that are full to bursting?
We don't know.
Is that about competition?
We don't know. All we have been told is that there are this number of children who have requested admission, or with this number of families who have requested admission to this particular school, and that is the number that the authority is going to admit. Right. End of. We know that there are at least 20 appeals in the pipeline, in addition to the fact that we have more than the permitted admission number already. And there is nowhere to put them, because our building plans, which have been on hold already for 4 or 5 years, are being stalled.
I mean, I would guess that it's at least in part to do with the fact that there's a competition for the best school, and there's schools that have got good results and good SATS results, and all the rest of it. Everybody wants to send their children there. There's a market in education, and basically, and I'm not saying that that's the only problem. There may be a lack of overall resources as well, but certainly one of the things that the Green Party is strongly against is this idea that schools are there to compete, that there should be a market, that it's one school against the other, and that we're against SATS tests, for instance. I made the point in at least two of the hustings that I went to. We had a question about it. The issue of SATS is not being talked about in this election, and yet we are in an astonishing situation where the practitioners in education, not just the classroom teachers in the NUT, the biggest classroom union, but also the management of the schools, the Head Teachers Association, are united in an unprecedented campaign. I've never known of it before. Those two wings of the education workforces here were in opposition to SATS, and they are campaigning for the abolition of SATS, and they are talking about boycotting SATS. We would certainly welcome that, and it's certainly a manifesto commitment of the Green Party to get rid of SATS, and also to basically get rid of the whole testing and the whole league table business, one school against each other. We basically think that children should go to their local school, that society should be more equal, and so that there wouldn't actually be the huge division that there is between children who do well and children who don't do well, which can be directly related to socio-economic indicators. The schools that do well are the schools that have got the kids from the wealthiest homes. The schools that do badly are the schools that are the opposite. So basically, we actually think, as well as trying to do things in education, that over the bigger equality agenda is what's actually crucial. We need to have a more equal society so that basically those outcomes, that doesn't happen in the school system. So it's not just about putting money into schools, even though we've budgeted for that. It's actually about fundamentally changing the nature of society and making